You're not our family. Go home now. On our way to a camping trip with my husband Joseph and his parents, we stopped at a rest area off the highway. As I stepped out of the RV, Joseph abruptly hurled those hurtful words at me. What? I exclaimed, bewildered. This wasn't the Joseph I knew, the caring husband. The shock on my face seemed to amuse him and his parents as they exchanged smirks, and Joseph started to drive the RV away. This couldn't be real. They wouldn't leave me stranded in the middle of nowhere. Frantically, I dialed my phone, only to be met with a stunning rebuke from my mother-in-law. Did you honestly believe you were coming with us? How audacious of you. Don't bother calling again. I was looking forward to this trip. But we're on a one-way highway. You can't just turn back. And besides, you're not family. You're just my daughter-in-law. Know your place. We're going to enjoy ourselves without you. The call ended abruptly, leaving me staring at my phone in disbelief as the RV disappeared into the distance. The words "you're not family" pierced me to the core, aching with intensity. It was all so cruel. They had me prepare everything, only to leave me behind. Overwhelmed with bitterness and heartache, I had no option but to call a taxi and return home, feeling utterly helpless. Allison, a 31-year-old woman, had been married to her husband Joseph for 2 years. Despite her initial hesitation to live with his parents, Joseph bought a house for them, a short distance away from his parents' place. While it was a relief not to live under the same roof, Allison still faced challenges. Joseph's parents, the free-spirited, often imposed tasks on her, like sudden shopping trips or cleaning their kitchen. Despite feeling harassed at times, Joseph always apologized for his parents' behavior, urging her to endure. His parents were particular about appearances, treating Allison well in front of others. She felt pressured not to speak ill of them, fearing she'd be seen as the villain. Despite her efforts to understand them better, being left behind by Joseph during a planned camping trip was a shock she struggled to recover from. The idea of camping arose during a visit to his parents, where Allison stumbled upon a lantern in the storage room. Curious, she asked about it, sparking a conversation about camping. Excited by Allison's mention of her father's camping enthusiasm and RV ownership, Joseph suggested they go on a family camping trip. With newfound excitement, he urged Allison to rent an RV for their upcoming adventure. My father cherishes his RV and takes care of it whenever he has free time. I'm not sure if he would lend it to us. Now it's your job to convince him. You better beg him to lend it to us, got it? Joseph urged when I hesitated at the sudden request. It's our first time camping and we don't know what we need, so it would be safer to borrow your dad's RV. Besides, I want to please my parents with a fun camping trip. Please, Allison. His plea left me little choice but to agree. I rushed to my father's place and explained the situation. To my surprise, he readily agreed. Really? Is it okay? I asked in disbelief. Of course. I thought you would refuse because you always polish and take care of it in your spare time. If it's for you, Allison, I'm happy to lend it, and I'm touched by your desire to please Joseph's parents. So take this whole set of camping gear so you can enjoy your first camping trip. If you're a beginner, this and this would be good, my father said, selecting easy-to-use equipment for beginners while explaining various things. I was thrilled to see how much my father cared for me, and it warmed my heart deeply. Perhaps this camping trip could serve as a bridge to bring me closer to my in-laws. All right, I'll work hard to prepare, I assured my father gratefully. I went ahead and reserved a campground equipped with power facilities, along with a nearby hot spring for added relaxation. When I shared the news with my husband and in-laws, they were overjoyed. We're so lucky to have you, Allison. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm glad you're happy, Joseph exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. On the day of our trip, I climbed into the RV driven by Joseph, brimming with excitement. As we hit the highway, heading towards the campground, my anticipation soared. But soon enough, my mother-in-law's demanding nature resurfaced. Joseph, I'm thirsty. Can we stop at the interchange on our way? She requested. Mom, I brought some drinks. You can pick one from here, Joseph replied, trying to accommodate her needs. None of them really appeal to me. As my daughter-in-law, you should know my tastes, my mother-in-law remarked, her tone dripping with disappointment. I'm sorry, I stammered, feeling the weight of her words. Stepping out of the car at the interchange to buy her the requested Dieter pepper, I was blindsided by my husband's sudden coldness. Allison, you're not a part of our family, so go home now, he uttered, his tone devoid of warmth or understanding. Excuse me? What suddenly got into you? I gasped, unable to comprehend his words. This wasn't the Joseph I knew. He wasn't the one who typically showed me kindness and consideration. My shock only seemed to amuse them as they laughed at my expense, and the RV began to move again, leaving me stranded. They left me here in the middle of nowhere. Is this some kind of joke? Panic set in as I dialed a number, hoping for some semblance of understanding, only to receive a response from my mother-in-law that shook me to my core. You thought you could really come with us? What a brazen woman you are. Not a part of our family. Be aware of that. Bye. We'll enjoy a good family time without you. My mother-in-law's words echoed in my mind as the call abruptly ended. I stood there, stunned and speechless. How could they treat you like this? They had me prepare everything, only to exclude me at the last moment. What was Joseph thinking? Bitterness and sorrow washed over me, but I couldn't dwell on these feelings. Summoning all my strength, I called a taxi and returned home, feeling utterly betrayed. The following day, my husband and in-laws returned from their camping trip, excitedly recounting their adventures. Not a single word of apology passed their lips for leaving me behind. As I pressed them for answers, their response left me dumbfounded. We did it to discipline you as my wife. That's right, Allison. You never understand your place as our daughter-in-law. But there's no need to abandon me on the highway for that. We had to go this far because you wouldn't get it otherwise. My mother-in-law's words cut through me like a knife. We need to properly discipline this failure of a wife before we start living together, my father-in-law added, his tone laced with disdain. The mention of living together sent a chill down my spine. Discussions were happening behind my back, and I was completely unaware. What do you mean by living together? I haven't heard anything about this, I protested, my voice trembling with fear and anger. My parents' place is getting old and is at its limit. I've bought a house where we can invite Dad and Mom to live with us. From next year, we'll be living together, so I'm going to be stricter with you. Be prepared, Joseph declared, his words hitting me like a ton of bricks. Was this his true intention all along? Deciding such a major thing without consulting me at all. I was stunned, feeling utterly betrayed. My anger was overshadowed by a sense of powerlessness as I realized my voice meant nothing to them. And to add insult to injury, after borrowing the RV, they didn't even bother to refill the gas or thank my father. Allison, why are you just standing around? Hurry up and return the RV to your dad. After cleaning the interior, wash the car, then return it to your father. We don't want to be seen as thoughtless, Joseph instructed, his words dripping with insincerity. As I surveyed the interior cluttered with trash, I felt a surge of disappointment. Not only had they ignored me, but they had also disrespected my father's kindness. It was unforgivable. After meticulously cleaning and washing the RV and filling up the gas tank, I returned it to my father. Upon seeing me, he greeted me with a warm smile. How was it? Did you enjoy the trip? I wasn't considered as their family, so I didn't go, I replied, recounting the events of being abandoned at the highway interchange and my husband's sudden decision to live with his parents without consulting me. My father's smile vanished, replaced by an expression of fury. I'll get even for you, Allison. We will not let this slide. I won't let them have their way. Allison, we're getting back at them, he vowed, his determination evident. And in that moment, I felt a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. With my father's wisdom guiding me, I returned to my in-laws' house where my husband and his parents were still basking in the excitement of the previous day's events. Keeping my emotions carefully hidden behind a light smile, I addressed them in a gentle tone. There's an even more amazing place than where we went yesterday. The autumn leaves are stunning right now. How about we go on a full-scale camping trip instead of staying in an RV? We could pitch a tent, enjoy a barbecue, and soak in the breathtaking scenery. At night, the sky is filled with stars. It's truly a hidden gem that I don't want to share with anyone else. Can I come too to fulfill my role as your wife? That sounds wonderful. It's going to be so much fun. Since it's in a secluded area, I'll drive, my husband eagerly agreed. As my wife and our daughter-in-law, of course, you should join us. My in-laws chimed in with equal enthusiasm. We decided to go camping again the following weekend. As always, they left all the preparation to me, their demands for discipline growing more incessant each day. But I had my secret plan in motion, meticulously arranging for my revenge. And when the date of our trip arrived, I borrowed an RV from my father, drove to a remote campsite, and watched with satisfaction as my husband and in-laws thrilled at the adventure ahead. "Wow, it's like a private site," they exclaimed, eagerly exploring the new environment. "We'll go for a walk and enjoy the scenery, Allison." "Stow our tent, understood." "Enjoy your walk," my husband instructed before they set off, leaving me to prepare the camp. "Come on, let's go quickly," I urged, bidding them farewell and then setting to work on the campsite. About 30 minutes later, my husband called in a panic. "What, you're lost. I can't find your dad's RV. I'm on my way home with it." "What? What do you mean?" I asked, bewildered. "Don't worry," was his cryptic reply. Unbeknownst to them, I had left only the bare minimum for them to enjoy a real camping experience, a plan devised by my father. He had suggested they experience wild camping, where they would have to fend for themselves, akin to living on a deserted island rather than a convenient camping site with all amenities. "You better set up your tent early and look for wood to start your fire. I know you guys have no lighter, so you'll have to start the fire yourself. I've left the pot so you can at least cook rice," my father had advised, ensuring they faced the challenges of nature head-on. "You left us behind. You were the ones who said that I, as a wife, wasn't part of the family and shouldn't go camping with you guys. So I took you up to the campsite and tearfully went home. That's what you wanted to do, right?" I stated calmly, hitting them with my logic. My husband was momentarily silenced by my words. "Enjoy camping with just your family," I added before hanging up. But my husband's rage erupted, and he began yelling at me. "Don't be ridiculous. If you don't come back now, I'll get a divorce from you." "All right, let's get divorced. You'll regret saying that." Being abandoned on the highway, finding my father's cherished RV filled with trash. "I've had enough of living with your parents, who do nothing but disrespect me, and you're the ones who will regret it, stupid woman," I retorted, utterly disgusted by his behavior. He abruptly hung up, leaving me seething with anger. Although I was nearby, I lost all will to go pick them up. After a while, I received another call from my husband. His tone had completely changed, and I could hear his confusion and trembling voice over the phone. I can't set up the tent no matter what. It's starting to rain and my parents are getting angry at me. It's getting cold too. What should I do?" It's cold," regretting already. "Why don't you look up how to set up a tent on YouTube?" I suggested, trying to offer a solution. "Forget the tent. My father pulled it too hard and ripped it apart, Allison. You've had your fun. Now fix your attitude and come pick us up," my husband snapped, his frustration evident. "I'm not coming. If you walk for about an hour, you'll reach a broad road. If you're not going to camp, then come down here with your stuff," I replied firmly, refusing to bend to his demands. "What? Just because I'm asking you nicely doesn't mean you can get all high and mighty," he retorted, revealing his true nature. Any lingering feelings I had for him had completely cooled. All I could do was sigh. "Screw this. I'm going to dump all this useless stuff. Just wait till we get home," he muttered angrily before ending the call. "Someone owns that place. It's private property. If you dump anything here, you'll be sued for illegal dumping, you know. There's a sign there that clearly states no littering," I warned, trying to reason with my husband. "I don't care," he replied, his tone firm and unyielding. It was clear he didn't believe I was serious about the divorce. I had to make him understand the gravity of the situation. "After the divorce, I'll be demanding compensation for the emotional distress from all the harassment you've done to me," I asserted, my voice steady and resolute. "What? The divorce? Is it? I'm serious," he stammered, finally realizing the seriousness of my words. Our conversation from the time I was left behind on the highway is recorded on my dad's RV's dash cam, so you can't deny it. Not just that, I've also recorded the conversations when you were harassing me afterwards, I stated firmly, laying out the evidence. "Let's calm down. We don't have any savings because we've been paying our mortgage. If you leave, I won't have anyone to cook and clean for us, which will be a problem." "You should think before you speak," my husband pleaded, trying to appeal to practical concerns. "I'm not your maid. If you don't agree to the divorce, I'll take it to court. It's going to become a big deal, and everyone in the family will know," I asserted, refusing to be swayed by his attempts to guilt-trip me. My husband, usually so conscious of others' judgment, fell silent, seemingly at a loss for words. In the background, I could hear his parents fussing, but their opinions no longer held any weight for me. After that, my husband attempted to say something with a preface of but then the call abruptly cut off. Soon after, I started receiving multiple calls from my in-laws, but I ignored them completely. After a while, the calls stopped ringing, indicating their phones must have died from a lack of battery. My father's revenge plan was a resounding success. As I made my way home, I picked up the divorce papers, filled them out, and left them on the table before returning to the comforting embrace of my childhood home, where my kind father awaited me. Meanwhile, my husband and in-laws took an inexplicably long 3 hours to descend the mountain that would normally take only 1 hour. That's why you should have used Google Maps instead of bothering me with calls. How foolish, I remarked to my husband, who arrived at my parents' house in a desperate attempt to salvage our relationship. His anger was palpable. "Allison, get out here now. I'll teach you a lesson. If you have something to say, talk to my father. He's pretty upset, so it might not end well for you." But my imposing father stood firm at the entrance, unleashing a tirade against my husband and shutting him down. Moreover, they left their tent and camping gear in the mountains, leading to a lawsuit for illegal dumping filed by the owner of the mountain. The person who filed the lawsuit, none other than my father, who had inherited the land from my grandfather. Security cameras installed due to recurring trespassing and dumping incidents made it clear who was responsible for the mess. As for the punishment, after finalizing our divorce, I demanded and received $1 million each from my husband and in-laws for the emotional distress they caused me. Unable to pay off their mortgage, my husband's house was foreclosed, and he now lives with his parents in their leaky house, leading a modest life as a family of 3. But there's no use crying over spilled milk. I returned to the company I used to work at before getting married, regaining the lifestyle that suits me. Next month, I plan to go camping with my parents, and I'm sure it will be a blast. After all the turmoil, I'm finally reclaiming my happiness and looking forward to brighter days ahead.